So for today's presentation, we have a WildAx Constellation 3. This is a 2018 example. When you open up the flap at the side there, you've got the access then for your diesel. And then below it, this is a Euro 6 model, so it has the AdBlue. It's an AdBlue indicator that comes up onto the dash. Underneath the front passenger seat, just pop up the little toggle, and that gives you access then to your vehicle toolkit. Below the floor, you've got access to your engine battery, and then on the end of the dashboard, your bonnet release. With the bonnet reliever released, you can then push up on the lever on the inside and extend up the stalk like so. Over on the extreme left-hand side, you've got your access for your screen wash, and then your brake, power steering, and radiator reservoir all in the middle. Oil filler and oil dipstick. If you haven't used the vehicle for a while, the engine battery might go flat, so to jump start, put the positive onto the bracket just down there, and the negative goes onto the bolt at the centre of the block. So as common with WildAxes, this has got the LPG tank fitted, so just push in slightly against the spring so that you can then use your nozzle. When you're filling up these onboard tanks with gas, it's important that you stop when the pump stops. Don't try and overfill these, as it can cause pressure problems and may need a repair to get it sorted again. Further back along the vehicle, you've got the exhaust vent for the water heating and room heating system, so make sure this doesn't get obstructed in any way. And then just behind that, you've got your access for your fresh water. So hose pipe in, pop the cap off, hose pipe in, and then fill up. The drain points are on the other side. Your mains connection is at the back. We always recommend that you connect to the side of the vehicle first of all before you connect into your power supply, so you're not taking a live lead across the damp grass. When we come onto the back, you've got your bike rack. So pull carefully down onto the deck. Slide these shoes, as I call them, into position so that you can strap the wheel hubs through, and then pull down the individual brackets. And these can be attached onto the crossbars or centre bars for your 3-point positioning. When you open up the back door, you've got your access to your toilet cassette. So make sure that the slider is shut on the bowl itself. Pull up on the green lever at the base and give the cassette a firm tug towards you. On a campsite, you have collection points for these to go into, so take the black cap off the top completely, tip the whole device up, and then press in the green button at the top, and that should let the waste then come out of the bottom. There's a guide in the top here, so put in about a capful of your base chemical or use the sachets. As always, for the Highlands, we recommend that you use the green chemicals. Mix that with about 2 litres of water, and you can then slide the base cassette back in nice and firmly so it locks back into position. To operate the awning, put the T up into the slot and then gently turn. You want to bring the awning out to a midpoint where you can reach the legs, which are located inside the pelmet. They're spring loaded, so if you gently push them in, it should release, and then you can then lock the leg off by pushing up on the tab. Repeat with the same with the other side. Slide it through and then let it drop. We're close to an adjacent vehicle here, so what we will do is wind it out a little bit just to illustrate that as you're winding it out now, you're walking each leg out until you get out to full extension. It's about 2.5 metres. These are designed as sunshades, so in wet or windy conditions they need to be put away. When you come to put it away, it's exactly the reverse of getting them down. So fold your leg in, bring it up to inside the pelmet, make sure that the foot is folded against the square of the shaft. Same on the other side, so undo the tab, fold the foot over, and it should all go back into position and sit nice and snugly. and then wind it back in. If they go in damp at the earliest opportunity, try and get them dried out, otherwise they start to get a little bit smelly with the PVC materials that they use. When you open up the sliding door, you've got your step operation, so push down on the button accordingly and then back in. These also will retract on ignition, so when you start the vehicle up, it should slide back in. You've also got the fly screen on this. Always recommend that you use 2 hands, stops you damaging the mechanism, and bring it all the way across like so, and then 2 hands back to it to slide it away. Just above the passenger seat when you come into the van, you've got your 12-volt control panel. Press the on button down at the bottom for a couple of seconds and you should hear a bit of a bleep. And then above that you can activate your 12-volt interior systems, which will give you then power to your water pumps and lights and so on. Water pump is separately operated. Make sure that you turn the pump off when it's not in use. You have an exterior awning light and you can adjust the brightness on the control panel if you require. Program functions enable you to go into the settings and the management. You can even change the colour of the display screen, and then you have your freshwater level indicators and your battery level indicators for both the engine battery and the leisure battery. With your water heating system, you will have primed up the water heater, so you would have made sure that the drain valve is shut on top of it. Press and hold on this unit for a couple of seconds. It's also indicating that we're plugged into the mains supply. Quick tap and you get these displays shown across the top. We'll start off with the room temperature setting. So select the icon that's flashing and you can increase the temperature within the room thermostatically up to a maximum of 30 degrees centigrade. All the time that this display is flashing on the top indicates that the room temperature is trying to be achieved. When it becomes a solid flame, then you've reached that setting. When we go on to the water heating, it's a similar setup. So we go onto the icon and we can select to run the water on an eco or on a hot mode, depending on whether you want to just wash up or have a shower. And confirm on that one, and again you'll see that the hot symbol starts to flash, indicating that the water is now heating up. Again, when it goes solid, then we've got the temperature within the water. Next icon along is to do with the source of your power. So we've got it in the gas mode at the moment. It's drawing up from the gas tank. You might use this if you were staying away from a campsite. Alternatively, you can go through to an electric mode, which is either a 900 or an 1800 watt electric element, in conjunction with the main supply and EHU lead that you're connected up to on the grid. If it's colder weather, then you can opt to mix both the electric and the gas together. We'll leave it in the gas mode for the time being. In conjunction with the room heating system, you can use a circulation fan and it will increase the speed and hopefully the heat that's being dissipated around the vehicle. Alternatively, you can go back and turn off both the water heating and the room heating. And if it's warmer weather, then you can just use the fan on its own and recirculate the air within the vehicle. It's not exactly air conditioning, but it will give you maybe some cooling effect in conjunction with having the windows open. There's a clock on the bottom, which we can set to the time that we're doing the handover. And then that in conjunction with your timer setting, you have to use a basic timer. So tomorrow morning, if you want the water heating, the room heating system to come on at 6, 7, 8 o'clock, as it were, and then a rudimentary time for turning it off as well. All simple and straightforward to use. When you don't want to use the system anymore, press and hold on the button for a couple of seconds, and you'll see the word off appear, and it will shut down. The television amplifier is very simple and straightforward to use. So you have a fixed aerial on the roof. As you turn the dial, you'll see the intensity of the LED begin to get brighter, indicating that you've turned up the amplification. This trimmer combi has a manual drain valve. So we filled up with fresh water earlier. We want to make sure that this valve is back in the horizontal position. It can be in either direction, horizontal to the floor, so this way or that way. and that allows the water flow to go through into the heater. You would purge it by turning on the taps, on the hot water taps in the kitchen first of all, and drawing that water up. When you've got that consistent flow of cold water coming out of your hot taps, go into the bathroom and repeat the same thing with the shower and with the vanity unit. To drain the water heater down, make sure that the water pump is switched off on the control panel. Lift the tab to the vertical position. Leave your interior taps open in the kitchen and on the bathroom. And as you can probably start to hear, it'll start to drain out and drain the water onto the floor. For the duration of the winter months, leave that valve open. So for the double bed operation, and pull down on this lever, slide the whole mechanism all the way out, take your backrest and drop it into the available gap. For the makeup of either the single bed or for the double, there's an extension flap which tucks into this section just here. You then pull up on the lever at the front of the passenger seat, get it out to a midpoint, and you want to slide that base seat off. Tip the whole framework all the way over so that the two join up, and then reposition your cushions accordingly. So you want the cutout section to go against the wall, and then the infill cushion to go into there. At the front of the vehicle, behind the driver's seat, you'll notice a small zip section, and this corresponds with the final cushion, which can be zipped on and attached, just to give you that additional bed length if it's required. Turning our attention to the internal operation of the toilet, lift up your seat and pull the silver slider all the way forward to let your waste go through. With the water pump switched on, you should be able to press down and you'll see some water going around the inside of the bowl, like so, and down into the cassette. Close over after use, stop any smells or odours from coming back up. Around the flush switch, you've got an indicator to tell you that the cassette is not properly located, and then when the cassette is partially full or completely full. You shouldn't see this one come on because it's not got a separate reservoir. The microwave on this is mains operated. It has an eco mode, so after a period of time, the whole display goes blank. To reset it, you need to press in on the eco button first off, and then you can then go into your minute and second settings and start the device up. For travelling, I'd always recommend that you take the plate out, which we have done, and store that safely. And just below the microwave, we have your fridge controls. So press and hold in for a couple of seconds, and you'll see all of the LED screen light up. At the moment, this is in the auto mode, which means it's self-selecting what it thinks is the strongest supply. So it knows that we're plugged into the mains, and that's where it's opting to take its energy supply from. After a few seconds, they fade out, but you'll still see a little green light on the switch. Tap on again. If you want to change the mode of operation, then by using the touchscreen, you can go through the different controls. So we'll put it into the gas mode first of all, and it will automatically ignite, and the appliance will work on the gas. For traveling, it will go into this battery mode, and the battery supply is coming from the engine battery and the alternator, not coming from the leisure battery, because the engine isn't running at the moment. It's flashing at you and giving you a warning. To adjust the temperature in any application, you go to the second screen and you can adjust the thermostat accordingly. For the operation of the hob, make sure the lid is fully up. You have an electronic igniter and it's drawing gas directly through from your onboard tank via a little tree of taps, gas taps, which enable you to individually isolate the gas supply to the appliances. Purge the gas through, make sure that you've got a nice clear crisp blue flame on. There's no isolators on these lids, so ensure that the device has been completely switched off and is cool before you fold the glass back down. For the operation of the oven and grill, for the oven first of all, turn it all the way around to the maximum position and use the igniter, and you'll see the flame strike up at the back. And then go all the way through in a clockwise direction for the operation of the grill, and it will light up at the top. Turning our attention to the cab, for the operation of the blinds, pinch tags together so that you can then magnetically attach it to the front of screen for the centre blind. You pull them both together and there's a magnetic strip. Make sure that they are clicked back into position before you drive away. Down onto the driver's door, and we've got your electric mirror adjustment, so you can turn the toggle into the direction of the mirror that you want to adjust and move the toggle for that mirror. Behind that you've got located your electric window controls. The gasket gauge is up at the top here. This is ignition activated, so when you start up the vehicle, you'll likely see a string of green lights come across the display indicating how full that gas tank is. I would recommend that you don't let the gas tank go down onto the red mark, just purely and simply that it helps you along with the pressure that's maintained within the system. Below that you've got your headlamp beam adjustment, so if you've got additional weight in the back of the vehicle you might want to bring up or reduce the headlamp beam position, and there's a rear fog lamp button there as well. The mode button takes you through access options on the dashboard. Stalk over on the right hand side is for your wiper controls and your screen wash, and the stalks over on the left hand side are for your lamps and then for your cruise control and speed limiter. Steering wheel controls are connected to the head unit for the operation of the phone and your radio adjustments. You have a radio navigation system on this one, so when you first turn it on you'll see your Citroen display come up and you're able to choose between AM and DAB as well as FM radio stations for tuning in. We've cleared the navigation unit so that you can actually go through the tutorial yourself, so when you press in next you can set it all up for your new settings, and for the phone as well you can also set up your phone media that way. There's a USB port which is underneath, which is connected up to the media button, and then you can then use things like USBs or phone feeds for your music access if that's what you require. Below the radio controls you've got your ventilation controls, so you've got the speed of the fan across the bottom and then your temperature across the top, your directional controls, and then your outside and recirculate positions that are easy to access with the central button for your air conditioning. This vehicle's fitted with ASR, so it works as an anti-skid control. If you were driving on wet grass or ice, you might want to disable that function. With all the vehicle doors properly shut, you should be able to access the central locking, and you also have a switch for your heated wing mirrors. The USB port and 12-volt ports, they are live to the ignition and will charge devices that are connected to them. When you select reverse, pull up on the button, push back, and with the ignition live, you should see your reversing image come on. So that concludes the handover for this WildAx Constellation 3. Sincerely hope that you've enjoyed the presentation. You may well have questions that you want to ask us, so please get in contact with us via email or by telephone. On behalf of Handover Camper Vans, thank you very much for watching.